Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Living from Sunday to Sunday podcast. I am your host, Pastor B. It is my mission to help strengthen and navigate your walk with God 15 minutes at a time. I believe that real change happens between Sundays. So I want to thank you for listening to today's episode. Please be sure to share this with your family and friends. Download this podcast everywhere where they may be found, and let people know how this podcast is blessing you. So, I just want to say it's been a couple of weeks since I've uploaded an episode, and one of the things that I realized is consistency. Like it's easier to be consistent than it is to break the cycle of inconsistency. What do I mean? So being inconsistent is easy. Um, being making that choice not to do something is so much more simple. It's simpler than choosing to do something. And the level of effort that it takes not to do something um, is surprisingly easy. And I went through a brief hiatus because there was a moment when I wasn't quite sure if what I was doing was being impactful. Um, and I think it's relatable because I think a lot of times in our daily walk, we're not quite sure if we're living up to the potential or if we are making the mark in the world that I think was intended for us, right? And so this podcast, I am a regular dude. Yes, I have I guess, the title of pastor, um, but I deal with everyday struggles, everyday temptations. I feel just like everybody else does, right? And I think a lot of times what happens is sometimes we can be too wrapped up in our failure, too wrapped up in not meeting the expectations that we've set for ourselves and letting that disappointment dictate the next move. Um, and so there is greatness inside of each person that's listening, greatness inside of myself. But sometimes it can be difficult to recognize that greatness and to utilize that greatness for the benefit of others and the benefit of ourselves. One of my more popular, um, one of the more popular movies that I remember watching back in the early 2000s was a movie called Aquila and the Bee. Um, Kiki Palmer, Lawrence Fishburne. Those were the two primary leads. And in that movie, you have a young child um, who was raised in in Compton, raised in a situation where um, excellence isn't expected, but yet she has the intelligence, the ingenuity, and the brilliance to be able to recall and spell words. And so, as she's navigating through these um, journeys and difficulties and the lack of belief in herself, there is a quote that Lawrence Fishburne has her read, and I'm going to read it. And the official quote is by Marianne Williamson. And it reads as thus: it says, "Our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. We ask ourselves, who am I to be gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. And this quote is an interesting one, and it kind of speaks to, I think, where I am right now. Because when we fail to recognize the greatness that's inside of us, the um, the spark that we possess, the inspiration that we possess, the motivation, um, the model, right, that we have, and that we should utilize in this world. Whenever we fail to recognize that greatness, then we inadvertently prevent other people from recognizing their own greatness. And so, utilizing or failure to utilize the gifts that has given us really is a disservice to ourselves, right? And we must understand, and I'm continuing to learn, that your gifts and your talents and your abilities aren't just for you, they are for other people. And what we have to realize is our value um, is more than just making ourselves happy. Our value is more than just getting things that we want, getting things that we desire. This is all a part of life. Of course, having nice things is great, but I wasn't aware, and I didn't think about how selfish it was of me to not utilize the gifts that I have. And I let my insecurities prevent me from just being obedient and just doing what I know to do. Like, God never instructs us to do anything that we don't have the ability to do. Now, what's interesting is think that we might not think we have the ability, but God isn't going to give us an assignment that we don't have the ability to do. And so if he tells us to do something, he knows what's in us. And we won't always discover what's in us until we make the decision and the leap to be obedient and to, you know, write out that script or to record that song or to um, record that next podcast episode. Um, because again, people are waiting for you to discover that you are great. Because once we discover that we're great, it should fuel us to do great things. It should fuel us to develop great ideas. It should fuel us to um, accomplish great endeavors and to connect ourselves with greater people who can bring our ideas to pass, right? Um, Knowing that are great isn't just for us to sit on our laurels and just say that I'm great. Greatness isn't a thought. Greatness isn't a just a fleeting reminder that you tell yourself. Greatness is putting something in action and letting the world see your greatness. Um, I was designed to do great things, and even the music that God has given me, it's great. It's difficult to see that, and I don't always believe it. But if God didn't want me to do it, He would leave me alone. He would leave me alone. And He has not left me alone. He has continually brought people in my path to remind me of what I'm destined to do. And that learning and discovering who I am and making mistakes is all a part of the journey. And a lot of times, um, thinking that we have to have it all figured out before we start is a crutch and a hindrance to progress. And so sometimes we're afraid to learn as we go. And that's just, I mean, any person who's achieved anything has made mistakes, has learned as they went, have decided, okay, next time I, um, create this recipe, I'll add more salt, less pepper, right? You're always tweaking because the goal is to be better than I was yesterday. And I can't even seek to improve if I stay where I am. And that's my encouragement to you guys today. Um, let's let's be greater than we were yesterday. Tomorrow, let's make that same goal. Let's make that same decision. Because why not you? Why not me? Um, there's literally people who are waiting for the green light to pursue their dreams. And they are waiting, they're behind you at the stop sign, waiting on you to move, waiting on you to go. They're not going to run over you. They're not going to go around you. They have to follow in your footsteps. And so, with that in mind, we have to know and believe that it's our time to move forward. And even if you're not always sure of where it's going to lead you, take the first step. Because again, we were created, and the purpose that God has given us is to effect change in this world, however we do it, right? Um, it could be in our local community, it could be in our church, it could be in our family, it could be um, in our state, in our country, in our world, whatever the scope and the level of your influence, um, it cannot be. Um, it can't be revealed if we stay where we are. So I'm committing to um, taking a couple of first steps in the next couple of weeks um, to push forward beyond my insecurity, beyond what I think of myself, and to realize the greatness that I know that's inside me and that's attached to my purpose and my destiny. So that's my challenge for you guys today. Um, let's get it done. All right. All right. So thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Of course, this podcast can be found everywhere where podcasts are available. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe it. If you listen to Spotify, let us know how we're doing. Leave us a comment, and I'll be sure to follow up with you as well. So until next Tuesday, y'all have a great one. See you when I see you.